Hello and welcome back to Boots and Bounty Homestead. I've got a good video today for all you new gardeners. We are going to, first of all, be out in the rain, just because this is the only time we could really have to do it. But we are putting in a few new garden beds, and I wanted to especially get this on video to walk you through step by step on kind of how there are some different options of how you can put beds in, and show you what we are doing. So first of all, the first thing you want to do is determine where you want the bed. Of course, you know me, my yard is pretty full already. So, the only other option really I had besides extending my bed to where my husband couldn't get in the backyard with the truck was to come on the other side of our house. And let me show you kind of what this looks like. Alright, so looking in from our street, this is just an open dead spot. Nobody ever comes over here except for the kids, you know, to play or whatever. But location is key in what's up there. Not my umbrella, but the sky. You got to get sun most of the time. If you are in a shaded lot or a shaded yard or balcony or whatever, you're not going to do good growing your plants a whole lot of the time unless you put in some grow lights or something like that. So this is the only other option I have, because we have some crepe myrtles right here that we're going to trim back a little bit, and they cover, let's see if you can see it, about half of where this garden's going to be. So we're going to trim those back just a little bit, but also we're going to use part of that shade for some of our cooler weather plants. And then the first bed right here closest to the house, you don't want to put it too close to the house because the house does radiate heat, especially being brick. It will radiate heat and bounce some heat off of, you know, from the sun onto your plants and warm up the soil and all that. And if it, in the summertime, if it does get too hot, that can be a problem. So this is about the only location other than the front yard that I have left. Or on the other side, where on the other side of the house is where he pulls around the garage to get to the backyard with his truck. So this is about it. And the next thing is how you want to place your beds, and how many you want, the size you want, and all of that can be a determining factor as in how much area you have. So in determining my beds, I didn't want to make one gigantic bed. I want to start splitting some of my beds up and doing different, sorry, I gotta move my hand, doing smaller beds to where I can do like maybe one crop or two crops of a variety of a plant in a bed. That way it can have its own time frame, it can, you know, do its own thing, and I can pretty much harvest it maybe like all at once, or do a rotation to where I stagger it and do succession planting, and you can have it you can get in multiple items multiple times. And now as good a time as any. So he's starting to do that. Okay. Alright, so what I did determine on my beds, we just went with some center blocks because we already had a bunch of them, and we were going to, we kind of rotate them around the yard where we use them in different areas for different things. We made a fire pit out of one. We are putting planter boxes with the center blocks around our chicken coop. He's doing a wood project with one, some firewood for the fire pit. He's doing some projects with that. We just use them a bunch of different ways. So with this bed, using the center blocks, I didn't want to make just one big ginormous bed like I said. I want to break it up and be able to walk through them, have different plants in different beds. Plus, with the layout of the crepe myrtles and the sun, fly bit me. With the layout with the crepe myrtles and the sun, I wanted to have at least 2 beds. I have a biting fly on my leg. Hang on. Alright, so this is my decision. So I have a bed on the right, kind of where Steven's standing there. Right here on the right, because that's going to be where most of the sun is going to come from. Probably 3/4 of the year. The other bed, I wanted a little shade. Like I said, it's going to be some of the cooler weather plants or plants that can't tolerate full sun for as long as I have, because I have probably all day until I guess about 3 or 4 o'clock. So they've got to be very heat tolerant. So that way I do have some shade over here where we can put some of those plants. Because if you run a bed, let's see if I can do this with one hand. If you run a bed over here from the sunny area over to the shaded area, you're not going to have even distribution of the sun. And these plants may either do good or bad. Those plants will do the opposite, because these are in sun, those are in shade. So I wanted one full bed this way in sun, one full bed this way in shade. Now, that being said, I wanted to do like mainly 1 crop per se per bed, or 2 crops mainly. So we're going to do 2 beds here, and then I'm going to do another one. Walking backwards, and it's still raining. And I'm going to do another one like right in here. So I'll do 2 long ones like this, and with the crepe myrtles stopping right here, all of this right here is going to be pretty much full sun. You know, whenever the sun gets straight up, it'll still be partly shaded from the crepe myrtles, but it's full sun for most of the day. So I'm going to do a bed this way from the house to the crepe myrtles. I'm going to do a bed this way, and then I can make it a little bit wider, or I may even, you know, I may put 2 more down here. I don't know. We'll just have to see what happens. So with you determining where your bed location is going to be, and your bed shape, how big or how little you want it, which way you want it facing, and you can make little walk-through gardens. You can make one giant garden. You can do whatever you want to. The options are limitless. I wanted to be able to walk around mine. I didn't want one big bed, because like over there in the other big garden, I do have some walk-in areas where I put in the railroad ties around the edges, and I put some 4x4s down the middle. That way I could walk through there. I don't want to just walk on my dirt and compact it all the time. So with these beds, I wanted to be able to walk around and not have to worry about stepping in them too much. And I may have something big in the middle and something, you know, little on either side of the bed. But, I mean, whatever you want to plant in these, you know, it's full of options. But the main thing right now is getting them built. And that's what we're fixing to do. Alright, we got one bed done. Make sure I ain't gonna fall in a hole back here. Alright, we did come back from the front of the house a little bit, because eventually I might want to put like a pretty little fence right here or something with some flowers around it, kind of hide it. Just because you don't see center blocks, you know. An eyesore. But
so this is adjustable later. This is reusable.
Yeah. And we did 2 layers high. You need at least 6 to 8 inches of dirt, compost, gin trash, whatever you're going to use. And it's going to settle. And that way you can build it up and it'll settle, and then you can keep building it up. And you actually need to go 6 inches over the top of where you want it to settle to. So we will actually do like 1.5 blocks deep here, and then it'll settle down and we can keep adding to it. Alright, so you're wondering about the grass. The grass, excuse me, we just cut the grass, and our grass is really low anyways. It's kind of weedy, and it's real thin. You can see the dirt through it. So it's low as it's going to go. Now if you have some thicker grass, you want to come in and weed eat Get it down to the dirt as best as you can. You don't have to spray anything on it to kill it with a small space like this. If you were working with a larger space, you would want to weed eat it or fresh till it or something, just to get the top of it knocked off, or the top maybe inch or so loosened up of the dirt if you have some dirt that you're having to work with and you're doing maybe an in-ground garden or something like that. That'll be where you till. But we're not going to spray anything on this. What we're going to do is, I have been collecting some big cardboard boxes.
Still trimming.
I've been collecting some big, thick cardboard boxes, and we are going to put a barrier down on this first. It'll be the black landscaping barrier, and then we're going to put the cardboard boxes on top of that, and maybe some hay. And I had also thought about, we've got some wood blocks back there in the back, some decaying wood pieces, to also lay that down here in the bottom to take up some of the room, but it will also decompose and become compost later, just to help kind of fill the space up for right now. Maybe do that around the edges or something, and that way we won't have to get as much dirt put. Alright, so now we're going to put down the black fabric, landscaping fabric there, and the cardboard that goes on top of the grass to help smother it out. Alright, so we got the fabric down real quick. We let it overlap a few inches in the middle, because the grass will tend to grow up in there. And also we tucked it under the block, because if you don't stop the growth from coming up the sides, you will have grass grow up around the sides on the inside of your bed. You can do this one of two ways. You can tuck it in the block like we did over there, or you can put it down first and put the blocks on top of it. So either way you want to do. Whew. I'm out of breath. So that's the first bed. The next step is going to be to get those cardboard boxes back there. I had my neighbor to save those, and they are going to go down on top of this as also a weed barrier, because the weeds and grass will go through this eventually if we don't get it smothered out real fast. So we are going to take those cardboard boxes back there, put it on top of them, and we're going to wet it, and that's what's going to keep the bottom layer moist. Alright, it's a little humid out here. So we've got the cardboard down, and as you've seen, we tore off the ends of some of the boxes so we could lay along the edge, and we've got it up to the edge as far as we can get it until we can get some weight on it to hold it down. So once we get a little weight on it, then we'll be able to position it just right. And Stephen is gone to go get the water hose. Whew, I'm so out of shape this year. He's going to get the water hose so we can spray this down and go ahead and get it wet. That'll keep the moisture on the bottom whenever we start weighing it down and getting the compost trash on it, or gin trash on it for the compost. So he's bringing the water hose, and we will show you that. So with the cardboard, let me tell you a couple things. You don't want any cardboard that has coloring on it or any kind of plastic decorations or anything, print on the outside. You want it plain brown cardboard. No plastic, no covering, nothing like that. You also want to get rid of as many labels, as much tape, anything that doesn't break down. You want to get as much of that off of it as you can. And as you can see, we got rid of some of the tape, but some of the residue right here is still there, and it's just going to take longer to break down. There's no big deal, and it's not going to cause any harm in the dirt or anything like that. But it is soaking up the water now. It does take a little bit for it to soak it up, because it's cut so smooth that it already kind of puts like a stop absorber kind of film on the outside. But it is soaking it up. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to have to weight it down. Okay, we've got some old wood from a decaying tree that a family member had, and we're going to bring that up here and let it decay, fill in some of this and hold this cardboard down, so that way as it decomposes it's going to make richer dirt, and it's also going to allow us to not have to put as much in there right now. But over the next 6 months to a year, it's going to break down and it's actually going to become really rich dirt. So we're going to bring some pieces up here, a few at a time, and get them laid out. All right, so we've got all the wood down that we're going to use right now, because we're only going to come up probably like a block and a half in this bed. So the thicker the wood, the shallower the dirt's going to be. So I mean, this is going to break down really good, really fast. All right. We're going to have to take a break because we actually don't have as much dirt as we need right now to put in here. We've got to go get some more. So we're going to take a break, and probably after this weekend we'll come back and we'll finish up the video with putting the dirt in here and getting it planted, because I already have a few plants that need to go in here. So this is as far as we've gotten right now, and we'll finish up the video as soon as we have some more dirt. So we have gone and got some dirt. We go to our local cotton gin and get their gin trash. And get the, if you ever go and get the one that's moist, and the gin trash that is on the inside, don't get the top layer because it's real dry. But the deeper you can get on the inside, the more decomposed that it's going to be. So I just wanted to show you that, guys, and I'm going to put you on hyperlapse, and we'll get this bed filled up. Alright, guys, there we have it. We have a full bed. Took a whole truckload. There she is. Now, there's the other one. Still gotta do it too. But not today. Not today.
Not today.
We're gonna call in backup tomorrow. Alright, so what's going in this bed? Since my zucchini didn't do too good over there, we're doing the Black Beauty heirloom zucchini squash. The heirloom you can save the seeds off of, and the hybrid you can't. Because, well, you can save the seeds, you just don't know what you're going to get next year, because it's like again, it's like humans, that if you have two set of parents, or a set of two parents, you get one child. That would be the hybrid. And when that one has a child with another parent, those genetics are not the same, so you get another hybrid. Say, you know, kind of like humans. But if, say, it doesn't really work this way with humans, but say two parents have multiples of children, they would technically all be the same, from the same parents. May not look alike, being in humans, but plants, they're going to be the same. So with heirlooms, they have a stable ancestry, to where if you plant this, you're going to get the same thing. With hybrids, you are not. You may get some of the mother plant, you may get some of the father plant, you may get a whole new breed or variety. So that's the difference in a hybrid and an heirloom. So this is an heirloom, and with everything going on right now, I'm trying to do as much as I can to save seeds for next year, because a lot of the seed companies are out. They've been out. They may just now be starting to get new stuff in for next year, but I just want to ensure that we're going to be good next year. So there is multiple plants in here. I'm going to separate them and see how many it actually is. I don't know. I can't tell if it's 2, 3, or 5. I think one of them is kind of a branch off another one, but that's what's going to go in here. So I want you guys to be here with me to do this zucchini. And this is I would say this is probably like a 5 by 10. I haven't measured these out, but I think the center blocks are 16 inches, and I would have 4. So the inside would actually be the inside of 3 of them. And so 3 times 16 would be between 4 and 5 foot. And then it's probably between 8 and 10 foot. And that'll be the inside of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, if you want to figure it up. So let's just say about 4.5 by 9, round it off. So my beds over there are 8 foot wide, and I did 3 yellow, and they have overflowed. So I'm gonna try to stick to only 3 in here, but if I have to plant a little bit closer, I will. They're just gonna run everywhere, and they're gonna hang off the sides, and they're just gonna do their thing. So I'm gonna see how many plants I got real quick in here, separate them up. And I like to keep the little tags close, because you never know who's going to ask what, or if you forget where you plant something. So we got 1. I may actually have like 5 in here. Let's see. Ooh, they planted a bunch of seeds in here. Some of them didn't germinate. There's 1. I think I'm going to leave these 3 together. Well, let me see if I can get one off. I'm going to put 1 in here. That's a little one. I'm going to put that with that one, and then leave these 2. So I want to make 3. So we'll have 1, 2, and 3. Yep. This dirt is super wet. Super wet. Okay. Now, with this dirt, I told you we were only going to do about 1.5 blocks high, but you have to fill it about 6 inches over. So we went all the way to the top. As it rains and as it settles, the dirt's going to get heavy and it's going to compact, especially with the wood being in the bottom. It's going to settle around that wood, and so it is going to go down. And we're probably going to have to add 2 or 3 inches of dirt to this every year, with it compacting, breaking down even farther, and washing out, because some of it will come out. And the wood's going to compost. The wood's going to break down, and it's going to fall even further over the years, over the next 2 or 3 years. So I also wanted to show you. I meant to show you this while I had the rake out, but this dirt is really bouncy. Can you see the zucchini shaking? Watch it. So it's really bouncy. That means that it has a lot of air pockets in it, and it is going to settle a lot. So, and it's fresh too. But that's the way I like it. But I love how black it is. It's very rich, very, very rich, and it smells like horse manure. But okay, so we're gonna get these 3 planted real quick. since it's not going to rain for another couple of days, I'm going to go ahead and water these real good. Alright guys, so that's how you make an instant bed. It only took us a few days because we had to have time to go get everything. But you can use anything for the outside. We use center blocks since that's what we had on hand. You can go buy railroad ties if you want. You can take apart pallets. You can actually, you know, cut pallets in half, stack them around, make sure you have them secure and screwed together. I would put some stakes or something inside of them to hold them up because they can get pretty flimsy. And as what Logan called working hands. I mean, you can put anything around the outside, you know, and you can even do this with just plain pallets. Put you some landscaping timber down, put your landscaping fabric down, and cardboard on top of it, lay your pallets on top of it, fill it up with dirt. That's what we did with Emma's herb bed back there, and Steven's throwing in dirt.
Can't waste none.
Big old dirt clods. But yeah, as long as you get the grass and the weed barrier down, you can, and you don't use hot manure. The only cold manure is rabbit manure and alpaca manure. Everything else, any kind of bird or horse or cow, is hot. And you have to at least let that, depending on how thick it is, you have to let that sit at least 6 months to a year. So you can find anybody that's cleaning out a barn, or anybody that, you know, is has animals out in the pasture, or there's a lady here in town where she has somebody go around with a tractor and scoop up all the horse manure and pile it up, you know, and that's how I filled up my first 2 beds back there, the 2 main 8-foot beds in my big garden. That took 6 loads, and I still probably need to put a load each back in there, in those beds. So it does settle quite a bit. It almost went halfway down in a couple years. So you will have to keep filling these raised beds up just a little bit every year. And it's good if you could get a compost going for a year, so that way you can use that compost in your bed for the next year. If you start your compost and your raised bed at the same time, you can start your compost, and as your raised bed goes down, then the next year you'll have your compost to fill it up. And that way, you know, you can do free gardening. Use whatever you have. But this is a good way to get an instant garden. And like I said, put your barrier down, put your dirt in it, and put your plants in it, and you're good to go, as long as it's not too hot. Now, with the Gen Trash, you may see some yellowing on your plants just a little bit the first few days. They will outgrow that. That's just a little nutrient shock, because if you bought plants, or if you put plants in potting soil or garden soil or like a starter soil from seed, we'll be doing that. Probably, I don't know if I'm gonna do that this fall, but I will definitely be doing more this spring, so we'll go through that too. But if you plant these by plants, they're used to the soil that they're in, and by this time, see, this one's already yellowing. It's done used up all the nutrients that was in that dirt that it was in its container. So the other ones are starting to yellow just a little bit too. But here in a few days, they may get a few yellow spots to come up. That's okay. They'll outgrow that, and then they'll take off, because we're fixing to get rain the next 2 or 3 days after tomorrow. So everything is just going to blow up around here. And so Steven's putting in the other blocks now for the second bed, so hopefully we can get that done tomorrow. And I don't know what I'm going to put in there as of right now. It may just sit until the fall, when I get ready to put my fall and winter crop in there. Haven't decided yet. I've got so many seeds. Oh my goodness. We hit the sale. Hit the seed sale at Walmart and Tractor Supply and Rural King, and I've got a few too many seeds. But anyways, here's your instant garden, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, any different ideas, anything that can help somebody else, please put it in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you guys later. God bless, and we love you.